Now, you didn't have to look too far this month to find a Ranger. That's because soldiers from the 75th Ranger Regiment took part in the Ranger Rendezvous recently, a week-long unit tradition that brings the entire regiment together for demonstrations, sporting events, tactical events, and more, all leading up to the regimental change of command. Ranger families and veterans were on hand to see the Rangers conduct a mass tactical airborne operation to kick off the 2009 Ranger Rendezvous. More than 1,000 Rangers jumped onto Fryer Field in full combat gear, which can weigh around 100 pounds, giving viewers a unique opportunity to see the massive airborne operation. The Rangers also took part in a number of sporting events during Rendezvous, all tying in with the overall mission of fostering esprit de corps within the Ranger community. From football and soccer to combatives and boxing, every Ranger got in on the action. Also during Rendezvous, 13 former regiment soldiers were inducted into the Distinguished Members of the Regiment, and 3 were named Honorary Members. Here are the names of the newest honorees. The Distinguished and Honorary Members of the Regiment is an honor reserved for those who have significantly contributed to the regiment over the years. These 16 join a small group of 249 staunch supporters of the 75th Ranger Regiment, the nation's premier raid force. And finally, the Ranger Training Brigade inducted 11 new members into its Ranger Hall of Fame. The Ranger Hall of Fame was formed to honor and preserve the spirit and contributions of America's most extraordinary Rangers. Inductees must have served in a Ranger unit in combat or be a successful graduate of the U.S. Army Ranger School. Honorary induction may be conferred on individuals who have made extraordinary contributions to Ranger units, the Ranger Foundation, or the Ranger community. Ranger Rendezvous Week concluded with a change of command for the 75th Ranger Regiment. Colonel Eric Kurilla became the 16th commander during a ceremony on the parade field at the National Infantry Museum and Soldier Center at Patriot Park. Our Susanna Avery was there, and she brings us the highlights.
In a ceremony rich in tradition dating back more than 200 years, Colonel Richard D. Clark relinquished his reign of the 75th Ranger Regiment.
If I could pick my replacement, Eric Kurilla would be the man.
Colonel Michael Eric Kurilla is returning to the Ranger ranks, where his special operations career started nearly 20 years ago as a rifle platoon leader in the 3rd Ranger Battalion.
Today we gathered for a symbolic passing of colors representing the changing of leadership in the Ranger Regiment. But I ask that you not focus on either Rich Clark or myself, but on the Rangers standing before you today.
As the 2 colonels trooped the lines, they did so knowing that only 60% of their soldiers were standing before them.
I tell you, every single one of those Rangers on that parade field right there today would trade the position they are to be on that battlefield.
The Deputy Commanding General of the U.S. Army Special Operations Command officiated the ceremony, speaking highly of the legacy of the outgoing commander.
In the last 2 years, the Rangers have grown from 2,400 men on their books to today's strength of 3,700 of America's finest. I personally watch with admiration, and I mean that.
Colonel Kurilla comes to Fort Benning after a year at the National War College, preceded by his command days in Fort Lewis, Washington, over the 2nd Ranger Battalion.
It will be an honor to once again serve the 75th Ranger Regiment with men of this caliber.
Susanna Avery, Fort Benning TV.